The heightened tension over the traditional leadership of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela in Moruleng near Rustenburg in the northwest is in the spotlight again, and that's after the latest decision by the Northwest government to reinstate Kgosi Nyalala Pilane's certificate of recognition. This means Pilane is a recognized traditional leader of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela. The decision has led to mixed reactions from warring groups within the royal family. The Bakgatla Paramount chief, Kgosi is threatening to challenge the provincial government's decision in court, arguing that it's flawed. The latest developments signal that the leadership dispute is far from over.
Hostility and tussles over the leadership of the mineral-rich community have been unfolding in the public space for years now. So far, there are three groups claiming that they are rightful traditional leaders of the Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela. They are unable to agree on who should be the legitimate chief of Bakgatla. The establishment of a commission of inquiry into Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela affairs and several litigations have failed to resolve the dispute. The latest decision by the provincial government to reinstate Nyalala Pilane's certificate of recognition has further divided the royal family. Pilane has welcomed the decision, while the Bakgatla Paramount chief Kgosi is fuming.
We are very elated because we come from far with this problem. Firstly, because we did not have any reason for them to withdraw or de-recognize me. And unfortunately, we cannot dwell much onto it because there is still a case that is outstanding. We're waiting for the judgment.
Currently, I understand can aspect of illegality, fraud with illegality. The court set aside. Apart from other avenues that we are pursuing, approaching the president. He obeys the law.
The provincial government, which has recently reinstated Pilane's certificate of recognition, has sent a written response saying there is a pending court application lodged by Ramono Pilane challenging the decision of the Premier to withdraw his recognition certificate as Kgosi and the subsequent recognition of Nyalala Pilane as Kgosi. The response concludes by saying they are unable to comment further. Meanwhile, according to Pilane, the leadership dispute has severely affected the Bakgatla nation.
Those disruptions really cost us dearly. The mine that we started here eventually had to close down because of the disruptions and instability. Obviously, it was also affected by the prices of the commodities, but we could have still survived that turmoil if the community was stabilized.
On the other hand, Kgosi is adamant that they will resolve the leadership dispute in the coming months.
No, it's not far from over. We intend to end this matter because it's been going on for a long time. And we cannot allow it to prevail any longer because it is hurting our tribe, it is impoverishing our tribe. Therefore, the steps that we are going to be taking moving forward are steps intended to bring an end to this injustice upon our tribe.
A few years ago, Kgosi Nyalala Pilane was deposed and Ramono Pilane was appointed as the acting chief of Bakgatla. While Pilane was still occupying the position, another group selected Kaekwa Pilane as their preferred traditional leader. The SABC has tried to get a comment from Pilane regarding the latest developments, but she was unavailable. Thabiso Moss, SABC News, Moruleng.
To unpack this a bit more further for us, we're now joined by SABC News reporter Thabiso Moss, and he joins us now via our video link. Thabiso, thank you so much for your time this evening. I mean, maybe let's start off here. Maybe if you can just give us a brief background when it comes to this leadership dispute in the Northwest.
Good evening, Bali and our viewers at home. This matter has been in the public domain for quite some time. You'll remember that there was a point where the provincial government even sent an administrator to the Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela royal family at the time after the conclusion of the Commission of Inquiry into the affairs of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela. But even though there has been some litigations around this matter, and also a Commission of Inquiry that was once established to look into the affairs of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela, the matter is still pending. The dispute still continues now that we have three groups that are, claiming to be the rightful traditional leaders of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela. As from the package that you have just played, that there is another, Pilane, who is also saying that she's the rightful traditional leader of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela, and at the same time you have Kgosi Nyalala Pilane, who has been at the helm of that, the tribe of Bakgatla in Moruleng in the Northwest Province. And so at the same time, there's another, Kgosi Kgolo, or the Paramount chief, Kgafela, who's saying that Nyalala Pilane is no longer the recognized traditional leader or the chief of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela in Moruleng. So that's where the matter is now. It has been there for quite some time. And, even in 2020, you'll remember that Kgosi Nyalala was once appointed as the acting chief of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela. And when he was still occupying the position, you have witnessed that there was another candidate or another grouping within the royal family that is, appointed or identified its preferred leader, which was in this regard, Pilane, who was inaugurated as the traditional leader of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela. That was, 5 years ago. And you remember that the very same Pilane was fired by Kgosi Kgolo, Kgafela around that time. So we have seen the latest being that the provincial government has, reinstated Kgosi Nyalala Pilane's certificate of recognition, meaning that he's now the Kgosi of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela in Moruleng in the Northwest Province.
Let's also talk about, the impact this has had on the community. How has, this leadership battle affected community members and the Bakgatla nation as a whole?
But I've managed to speak to both Kgosi Nyalala Pilane as well as Kgosi Kgolo Kgafela just to get a sense of how has this impacted the community or the Bakgatla nation. Kgosi Nyalala Pilane talking about Pilanesberg platinum mine that was closed around 2020 during COVID-19, saying that even though there were some challenges that, if you look at commodity prices at the time, maybe it's one of the reasons why the mine closed, but saying that if there was stability within the Bakgatla nation around that time, they could have tried to do something to ensure that the mine is not closing, saying that the mine had a potential to appoint about 20,000 people. And at the time, or he said that, he told us that more than 2,000 jobs were lost due to the closure of that mine in Bakgatla. And also talking about the development generally within the Bakgatla nation or the Bakgatla jurisdiction. You'll remember that there are around 32 villages within the Bakgatla jurisdiction. So saying that this leadership dispute has severely affected the developments within the area that they've been trying to come up with over the past few years. If you travel, as we know that the office of Bakgatla are based in Moruleng, even though there are some villages there. If you walk around the area, you'll see that there are some roads within the area. Kgosi Nyalala Pilane is saying that with the intact leadership at the time, they've managed to bring some developments within the area. But since this dispute started about maybe, let's say, a decade ago, because I even tried to get a sense from him when did really this dispute that he said it was around 2003, after he bought a land for the Bakgatla nation. That's when this, back and forth started, even though it was not playing itself in the public like it is happening now in Bakgatla.
What is the provincial government saying about this? I mean, what has been their role when they're trying to intervene in what is taking place in the Northwest?
Earlier on, I alluded to the fact that after the conclusion of the Commission of Inquiry, maybe 5-6 years ago, you will remember that the former Premier of the province, Professor Job Mokgoro, appointed an administrator to occupy the Bakgatla Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela traditional offices in Moruleng, but we haven't seen that happening because at the time there was, even the administrator was not allowed to access the offices of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela because of these divisions within the royal family, and we have seen these divisions, even the communities in the area divided around this issue at the time when the provincial administrator was sent there by the provincial government. But if you speak to both parties, whether you speak to Kgosi Nyalala, or speak to Kgosi Nyalala Pilane, whom I've managed to speak to, even though I didn't get the other grouping, which is led by Pilane Motegwe. But these two are talking about the role of the provincial government, saying that the provincial government doesn't have powers to appoint the chief of Bakgatla-Ba-Kgafela. Only the royal family or the Kgosi, the Paramount chief Kgafela, in consultation with the royal family, have those powers or possess those powers to appoint the Kgosi of Bakgatla, and the provincial government will just give a certificate of recognition to whoever has been appointed by a Kgosi in consultation with the royal family. But we have seen this matter not coming to an end because if you speak to Kgosi Nyalala Pilane, he's speaking about political interference and also the latest decision by the provincial government. We have seen the Kgosi not being happy about that, saying that he's intending to take this matter to court, and also blaming the current premier, Lazarus Mokgosi, saying that his decision is flawed, that he's going to challenge it in court, and even writing to the President Cyril Ramaphosa, to speak to the premier with regard to the decision that he has taken to give back or to reinstate the certificate of recognition of Kgosi Nyalala Pilane.
All right, Thabiso, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. That is Thabiso Moss, SABC News reporter in the Northwest, just giving us an update there when it comes to that leadership battle or squabble taking place within the Bakgatla nation in the Northwest.